Yeah,
Perfect.
I think she's gonna be doing this one.
Good. How are you? It's crazy. Did you?
My daughter had softball,
Yeah.
so, which is now, but practice starts at 6, so I had to make arrangements to go to a friend's house. I play softball, so they could get her there so I could get here. And then my son's mad because he has to walk home from the late bus
Oh.
from soccer. And then my husband, when he's done teaching his spin class, takes the speed over to Recipe to pick her up from softball. And if he's not there in time, the dad that took her decides to take her back to his house.
And they'll get her from.
And then I spent
Remember those
6:30
days.
in the morning, I'm emailing the entire soccer team, trying to find guards for Evan for Thursday, Friday, back up to school. Because we don't have a bus to pick them up, but South does.
Wait a minute. I thought they're getting picked up at the bus stops.
No, it's not north, only south.
No.
Yes,
Why is that?
because north was told the bus rides to the.
No.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I
The one on the
don't.
right makes it go up.
Anthony, here they are.
I want to go down. So you go.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm gonna look in there.
Okay, yeah.
And I guess parents, even carpool.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are plenty of parents that would like to.
I just thought about this morning about doing this. All right. And again, if it's no, then it's no for the district. It's not no.
Tomorrow we're going to,
Oh, no.
go to JTL and to North.
No.
I gotta see what my days are.
That's what they're asking.
Yeah. You know, I
I'll
was thinking about
probably
it
go
when I was-
North no matter
I
what,
like your
because she wants to go see.
Yeah,
Yes, I want to see her.
Is that right?
So we can do it on
I
Wednesday.
did watch all of it.
Is that right?
Fine,
Yeah.
fine, when you think about all
So
Oh, I had
we
to
go to
figure it out
like
what time.
Disney, the Star Wars
We
land.
Alright.
wanted to, but then COVID
Yeah.
happened.
I probably can't go up before like 9:30 or.
I love it. That's.
Birthday hat. If everybody can please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
We'll just go in a direction.
Okay, we'll just turn this way. Everyone turn this way.
Right. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please? Present.
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 Here.
Okay. A motion to approve the agenda for September 15th with the members of the committee reserving the right to add to the agenda and take further action in the best interest of the district.
So moved. Second.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 10th, 2020 meeting?
So moved. Second.
The first on the agenda, we're going to have a presentation on the refunding of the bond update.
She's gonna be zooming in. Her company doesn't allow her to travel yet.
Okay. Hopefully we can hear her and see her.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Jamie, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me okay?
I can. I can now see you on the little computer screen over there.
Awesome, great. Well, hopefully you all also have copies of my report that was just hot off the presses this afternoon. Before we get into that, if you would allow me to screen share, I'd like to share the auction, a replay with you, although I'm going to advance it manually. So I'm going to condense a 17+ minute auction down into about 1 minute, if that's okay.
Sure.
So can everybody see my screen?
Sure. It's just really small because we don't have computers in front of us, so we're looking at it from far away.
Okay. Well, I'll be brief, but I just wanted to share this with you because today's auction, you know, I've had lots of home run auctions in my 24 years of doing this, but I would describe today's auction as a grand slam. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than this. So this is what the auction page looks like. The auction was scheduled to take place between 12 and 12:15 today, and I'm going to just manually advance so it'll go from bid to bid. And I'll preface with, we needed a true interest cost of 1.05% to produce the savings that you saw last month related to the bank loan. And we needed a true interest cost today of 0.81% in order to match the savings of the estimated bond issue that we showed you last month. So I was super excited when the very first bid came in at 0.70% and change. So, you know, I knew immediately that we blew away the projection on the bond issue from last month. And that was important because interest rates have actually increased since last month when I last met with you. And I'll show you the chart in a minute. But just to quickly go through how the auction works, everything's boiled down into this true interest cost of 0.70. So that's the rates that this particular underwriter is proposing. That's the purchase price of each individual maturity. That's their commission. And that's if they're requiring you to pay for bond insurance or not. And so just to quickly go through the bids, you can see them starting to come in. And there's a bid total right here. We're up to 3 bids now. I'm going to go quickly through this. We got 22 bids altogether, so give me a second. And you can see, you know, they're vying back and forth. Different underwriters are assuming that first place position. They can't tell what the other bids look like. They just know if they're winning or not. So they don't know how much they're leaving on the table, if you will. So again, just to keep clicking through here, you can see they're almost all of them were in first place at some point or another. They're allowed to keep improving their bid. You can see cumulative improvement over here in this last column. As many times as they want, they can improve in order to, you know, try to win and take that first place position. We're up to 20 bids here. And you can also see that, you know, we're past 12:13. And so every time somebody new takes first place, it's adding 2 more minutes to the clock. And so at the end of the day, your auction went to 12, 17, and 43 seconds. So competition generated an additional 2 minutes and 43 seconds of auction time, and that helps your savings as well. So this is what it looked like when it was all said and done. Whoops, can I go back one? Yeah, this is what it looked like when it was all said and done. The winning bid came from Fidelity, and their true interest cost was 0.55% and change. So a very attractive bid. And so I won't belabor the process, but everything really worked like a charm today. If we could go to my handout, if you all have a copy of that in front of you, we'll go quickly through that and answer any questions that you have. So if you look at page number 1 of my handout in the lower right-hand corner, you can see what I mean when I say interest rates actually went up since I met with you last in August, which, you know, sounds bad, but the good news was that your refunding was so nice and short, you know, your final maturity was September 1 of 2027, that it's really the longer end of the yield curve that increased, and the very short end of the yield curve didn't increase much at all. So, you know, the structure and shortness of your transaction really helped today as well. Page number 2 of my handout, you can see a summary of those 22 bids that we just looked at in the auction replay. Again, the winning bid came from Fidelity Capital Markets. And, you know, below the bids there, you can see that all 5 of those underwriting syndicates bid with no insurance. So that's a true testament to the good management of the school district and your maintenance of your credit rating, that none of these firms felt the need for you to pay for bond insurance. They're willing to, you know, the investors are willing to buy your bonds just based purely on your underlying credit worthiness. And you can also see toward the bottom of that page that if you would have had to pay for bond insurance, that would have been $50,000. So right off the bat, you save $50,000 just because of your excellent credit rating. So kudos to the board and administration. Likewise, on that page, you can see the paying agent will be Manufacturers and Traders Trust Company, as it was in the past. And this is the last time you'll refund these bonds, again, because they're so short, they'll be non-callable. Because if we would have put a call date on something of this size, we would have put a 7-year call date on it. And that's exactly how long your bond issue goes out, 7 years. So they'll be non-callable. If you look at page 3, you'll see a chronology of those same 22 bids. There were actually, I know I clicked through them really fast, but there were actually 6 activations of the 2-minute rule. So you can see where those occurred beside the TIC column, wherever there's an asterisk, that means, you know, somebody new took the winning position with less than 2 minutes left on the clock. So that 2-minute rule got triggered 6 different times to extend the auction again to that 12, 17, and 43 seconds. If you look at page 4, that's the most important page in here. You will see that what that winning Fidelity bid and true interest cost of 0.55% means to you is net savings to the district of $924,975. If you start at the top of column 7 and work your way down, or I'm sorry, column 8 and work your way down, you'll see that you'll recognize about 22,000 of that in the current fiscal year, and then the bulk of it, about 889,000 next fiscal year, and then a couple $1,000s each of the remaining years thereafter. And if you were to compare this back to my handout from last month when we were just projecting or estimating the bond issue, you'll see that the net savings this evening are better than that by a little over $165,000. So again, very, very pleased with the results today. To walk quickly through the rest of the pages, you know, page 5 is your 2013 bond issue that will be refunded with this transaction. So those bonds will go away. Page 6 is your 2014 AA, which again will be refunded, and those payments will go away. Just as a reminder, this does assume that you make all your regularly scheduled September 1 payments, and you did that already. Those payments were not included in today's refunding because we're past that date. Page 7, there's your 2015 bonds that will be refunded as part of this transaction. Page 8 just shows how much money we need to pay off those 3 old issues. And page 9 is the new amortization schedule based on the Fidelity bid today. And you'll recognize the savings there in the last column, the 924,000. You'll see on this page that Fidelity's coupon and yield structure is broken out. So in column 3, they bid 3% across the board, meaning in every maturity 2021 through and including 2027, which is higher than the going market rate. And we'll look at the price they have to pay you. They have to pay you more than 100 cents on the dollar to get that 3% coupon, because when you blend together that coupon and the price they're paying you, you get column 4, which is the important column on here. So their yields range from just under 0.25% on the shortest year to 0.75% in the latest year. These savings are net to the school district. The state share is already netted out of there. You can see the state share in that bottom box. They save about 107,000. And again, you can see in that last column, column 11, how you'll recognize your savings. It matches the summary page that we just looked at. Page 10 is the sources and uses of funds. And I would really just point out here the underwriter's discount. That's the commission that Fidelity will get paid, and that was part of their true interest cost and part of their bid today. And this is in large part because this is such a short issue. It's a very attractive structure. It's also in part because, I'm getting a little bit of an echo there. It's also in part because there's a lot more investor demand right now than there is supply of bonds. But you can see Fidelity is charging 97 cents per thousand. And so, the historic benchmark, because some of their commissions are higher, some are lower in these cases, but on average, they're $7.50 for all underwriters across the board. And so the fact that they came in at 97 cents per thousand tells me that they had a buyer or buyers lined up. They weren't really taking a lot of risk. They had a home for these bonds, and that's what enabled them to bid so aggressively today. So, right off the bat, the difference in what we had budgeted for underwriters commission and what we actually got saved you about $107,000 today. So, again, this is exactly why you use the competitive auction process. It ferrets out whoever has all of the best facts and terms and conditions and not just rates. It blends it all into that true interest cost that I alluded to earlier. So that's what the sources and uses of funds looks like. And I would also just point out in the middle of page 10, the yield of the issue, that's the rate that will ultimately report to the IRS. You're effectively refinancing these 3 issues at 0.53% and change. So I'll call that 0.5%. Which is just a miraculously low rate. Again, we're so close to those all-time lows. And then below that, I mentioned earlier that in exchange for the 3% coupons that Fidelity's investors want, they have to pay you more than 100 cents on the dollar. So you can see those prices in the price column, they're all over 100, and that generates original issue premium. Fidelity is going to pay you a premium at settlement of $1,669,341. You also see that number up top of this page under sources of funds, because we downsized the amount of bonds we need to issue by that amount, because we don't want to issue any more bonds than are needed. And so that's what I meant when I said earlier, they have to pay you more than 100 cents on the dollar. Finally, on page 11 is your updated debt portfolio. So you'll see that the future payments in column 4, 5, or I'm sorry, 4, 6, and 7 go away, and we've now added column 15 to reflect the general obligation notes series of 2020. And then the rest of the pages thereafter are your credit rating report. So I would encourage you to peruse that at your leisure. There's a lot of good information in there for your review, but Tom McIntyre did an excellent job on the credit rating call, and the fact that you're able to maintain your excellent AA3 credit rating during these particularly challenging times is a true testament to the board and administration. So I will pause there to answer any questions that you have, but again, I was very pleased with the auction process. I'm extremely pleased with the outcome and the results. Everything fits within the parameters resolution that you passed previously. So we're in good working order.
You see the underwriters fee was much less than what you said it was going to be. Remember I said at the last meeting, I thought that was extremely high.
Yes, we're significantly under that.
When I was researching it before, that rate seemed extremely high to me, and I'm glad it came in less than $1. I was expecting, maybe $1.25 based on what I was reading, so 97 cents is very good.
Yep, it's a function of the length of the issue and just really good demand, investor demand. So I was super pleased with that as well.
Now, the refund that they're giving us, or the premium they're paying us, is that in addition to the savings, or is that?
No, that's part of what will be used to pay off the 3 old issues. So if you looked at my handout from last month, we downsized the amount of bonds we're issuing accordingly.
Okay.
So there won't be, all that will be left, if you look down the last line under uses, there's a line that says miscellaneous expenses and rounding. Things like advertising will come out of there, QSIP numbers, those types of small expenses will come out of there. That's, something will be left, and whatever's left will show up as a credit in your sinking fund to offset your first payment. So you will have a little bit more savings than what I'm showing on the prior page, but that premium is already factored in there because we downsized the amount of bonds we're issuing accordingly.
And who are we using for the legal fees and expenses? Right?
Your bond counsel is Eckert Siemens out of Harrisburg, and of course your local solicitor is included in that as well.
And do we shop around for that, or do we just always use him?
You've historically used the same firm. That firm changed names. It used to be called Rhodes and Sign, and if that sounds familiar to anyone. And then, they closed their doors and went out of business at one point, and then Eckert Siemens hired their entire bond group that was at Rhodes and Sign. And so, you're working with the same people. They just switched firm names.
Okay, and in your experience, you think they're competitive in their rates? They're not like overcharging, because I didn't look them up. I didn't know who did that.
No, they're very competitive. I certainly see legal fees much higher than this at other places.
So besides that, our only big fee is Moody's, but Moody's charges what Moody's charges.
They do, and Moody's is based on the size of the issue. They have a straight scale, so there's no wiggle room there. Their fee is what it is.
Yep, we have no choice but to do that. Anybody else have any questions?
All good news.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you,
If any
Jamie.
questions develop later, I'm happy to answer them. But I think you should consider this a grand slam today.
I'm happy with the 40, so knowing that they're much lower than I anticipated, that you anticipated, and what I said that they should be on our call last month. So
Right, and I'm conservative, so I always budget historic benchmarks and averages, and try to come in better than that. That's just how I normally would budget.
thank you so much.
You are welcome. Have a great evening.
You too. So next on our agenda is monitors RFP results for professional staff.
Mr. Borosh couldn't make it, so he asked me.
Here,
Okay.
This is just additional monitors to what the professional staff already have. It's in need to help with the instruction of the hybrid and full virtual model. The equipment is HP monitors and adapters. So he went out to a quote. He did an RFQ. He received 7 different quotes. And he took the winning proposal was from Staples for $55,972. Sorry, I'm not talking into it. Oh,
Brian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
sorry, I stole your thunder.
That's okay.
We're ready for you.
Yeah, just to follow up to what Tom said, it's monitors for all the professional staff for two reasons. A, because of the hybrid and full-time virtual they do on Wednesdays. In addition, we want to make sure we have monitors for them should we decide or should we need to go back to red, that they would have the availability to see their content on one screen and see their class on another. And that applies to both in-person instruction, hybrid instruction, and that hybrid instruction piece, so they can see their students in the classrooms, the content they're teaching, as well as students that are participating from home.
Is this coming out of our CARES Act money, or is it coming out of our budget?
This is out of the CARES Act funding.
So are all teachers getting it or just some?
This is all teachers, K to 12.
Okay. And then we'll teach them how to use dual screens, because we already taught them how to do it without it. I gotta teach the ones that, I'm being serious, we're gonna have training in place for them to learn how to use dual screens, because I know some of them might not know how to do that.
That is correct. There will be professional development if needed. Some teachers, do utilize their projectors as well. So they're used to having two different screens in a sense. Wednesdays, since the majority of the students are not in, there's professional development time allocated and they can be trained then.
Perfect, so I make sure that they're all not stretching out, that they're getting an extra screen now, because they have enough stress as it is, we don't need to add more. Does anybody have any other questions in regards to the monitors?
We'll let you answer your question there.
Next on the agenda is the 2021 IU 20 special ed contract.
This is just an annual contract that the board approves. This IU sends us this document, which you'll see having your backup. It's based upon all the different program costs, and then the EFT column is our usage of that program. And then that's how we get our total costs. These are estimates going into the 2021 school year. And throughout the year, we get quarterly updates and adjustments throughout the year. Any questions?
The ones like for elementary and secondary, are they people we have that are picked up and all, or
Say that again?
items like autistic support for elementary and secondary? Do we send them to the IU or what is that?
Usually the services are here in our building, if I'm not mistaken, Brian.
George, I can help support.
Yeah.
We have in-district programs throughout the district, IU, at each of the levels. We also utilize the 3-level programs throughout the county, outside of the district, those 3 levels too, like Coconut Mountain, Pleasant Valley, Stroudsburg. So we also, we share placements throughout the county.
Okay, so they're like their shared costs, then is what you're saying?
It's in district and shared throughout the county, yeah.
Yes.
We also receive
Yeah.
other students from other districts with us.
Okay, thank you.
Staying on the topic of the IU IDEA pass-through agreement.
Again, this one is just a formality. The IU manages our IDA funds, and this is just an agreement that we will be following the rules and the stipulations set forth, and we just do a quarterly drawdown of the account, and at the end of the year, we just balance it out with our expenses.
Any questions on that? And Tom, how about a project update?
Again, this is just our monthly update. I highlighted in yellow the additions for this month. We are getting close to the North High School Lehman project wrapping up. And the JT Lambert project is completed. We're just probably doing a couple little cleanup there, waiting for their last invoices. And that is all. Not much this month. It was a little slowing down.
And I was up at North, it's nice and clean now, there's no debris anywhere, and the gym floor looks fabulous.
Does
I'll
it
go back
good?
there tomorrow, take a look at it.
Yeah,
Sure does.
yeah, I was there on Friday, and they're like, do you want to see the floor? I'm like, "Yes." So it looks amazing.
Great.
And a lot of the kids saw it, and they were so excited when they walked out and saw it, so.
Good.
And then we have some properties and facilities recommendations. We have some Dewey Engineering invoices for the high school north roof replacement, another forensic investigation, the north sanitary liner replacement, Smithfield parking lot, JT Lambert Intermediate School camera installation, JT Lambert Recipe flooring replacement, and high school south pool grouting. And then we also have the application for payment number 9 to Ja-In Inc. for the roof replacement. We have application for payment number 4 for Lehigh Valley Flooring for the JT Lambert floor replacement, Miller Flooring for the Lehman Intermediate Gym floor replacement, and Nova Equipment and Supplies for safety shields for the secretaries. And now we're going to open it up to public participation. Do we have any public participation online?
I am not seeing.
If you have anybody online that would like to, please type your raise your hand button. Okay. With that being said, let's do our recommendations for consideration from the board.
We gotta approve these payments?
We have to recommend them to move forward, yep.
Okay.
We'll those are part of our recommendations to move forward, so we have to make our advisory recommendations for consideration. So let's start with the refunding of the bonds update. Any questions or concerns that anybody has with that? Because my biggest concern, like I said before, when Jamie was on the phone, was when she quoted us before, she was quoting us the underwriting fee at like $6.50. And the first thing I said, oh my God, that's so high. And then the bond insurance that she suggested was extremely high, but now they're waiving that.
They're waiving that, yep.
So, and the other thing, the first time I said, oh my God, your fee's so high. She waived that last time. So now we've gotten her fee waived, the bond fee waived,
Let's go with it.
and the underwriting fee down to under $1. And I was saying to her, it should be like $1.25, $1.50. So
Yeah, remember, like she said, she bids conservatively, and it's a bidding process,
yeah,
as you saw how they did it.
$6.50 versus 97 is not conservative, that's high.
Yeah.
I would say conservative would have been 3.
Mhm.
And I would have been, okay, that's all right, I'll take that, but not $6.50, so that's what my thing was.
Three is high in today's.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, yeah, but when she was saying conservative 3, and I'm like, all right, conservative, go 3, but not $6.50.
Right.
And
Yeah,
even at like
that's-
$1.25 is a good fee for an underwriter, as cost, so for 97 cents, in my opinion, it's a good one. And I was watching the auction as people were moving up, like when I was watching it live, the Janny bidder bid
Mhm.
9 times, just kept bidding.
Mhm.
And they were first a couple times, and then they go back down. Because UBS started out lowest, and then it was between UBS, Janny, and Fidelity who eventually won. And it was like back and forth, back and forth. And JP Morgan bid, but they made one bid and they were high.
Yeah.
So,
They use, JP Morgan uses their computer. It's not even a live,
oh, I know.
it's not a live person.
They set parameters and then let it run.
Yeah, basically they say, you can do 2 bids, just bid and see what happens. throw it at the wall and see if it sticks, and it did stick, so. All right. So we'll make a motion to move refunding of bonds update forward for approval.
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Okay, and do we have a motion to move forward with Staples as the lowest bidder for the monitors for the professional staff so they can use dual screens for cyber and
Yeah.
for in the hybrid?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 2021 IU20 special ed contract?
Motion.
Second.
And a motion to move forward with idea pass-through agreement for the IU?
That's just an amendment, right? Do we just second that?
We have to put it on the agenda to do it. We have to approve it every quarter, so.
Oh, okay.
Every year.
Second.
And then just a motion to acknowledge, I guess, the current projects. You don't have to approve them, they're just there, just acknowledge them.
Nope, we don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, and a motion to pay the bills to A through G for Dewey Engineering. A motion for that,
So moved.
correct?
Second.
And then a motion for payment number 9 to Jotin.
Motion.
Second.
Application for payment number 4 to Lehigh Valley Flooring.
Motion.
Second.
A motion to Miller Flooring for the Lehman Gym floor.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, and a motion for Nova Equipment and Supply for safety shields for our secretaries.
So moved.
Second.
Larry got it.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order before we have a motion to adjourn?
Shit. Something I just had in my brain here.
Okay. We'll give you a minute.
You still didn't beat the MCTI meeting.
I tried,
That-
George,
that
I
was-
tried.
That was 11 minutes.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, I wanted to bring up about if we can put together some sort of a list of our, all of our programs and whatever.
what kind of programs?
Computer software.
Computer software, yeah,
Like what software we use and what it costs?
yeah, and what its, and
Used
what its
for.
utilization is,
Okay,
okay? I mean, you know, if we still have it sitting on the shelf and nobody's using it,
right. Like whatever, like outstanding contracts we have with whatever server we use or software, like educational software, whatever it is, and what it costs and whether we should continue using it.
right? Yeah, and just so we have some checks and balances that, you know, we can say, oh geez, you know, hey, we've been paying that $10,000 a year for 3 years and
We don't use
we
it.
don't even have it
Or 2
anymore.
people use it. You know, is
Yeah.
it really? Yeah.
Right, so, want to see if we can do something with that.
So it's, I would recommend that we make it a, you know, like a request of administration for a list of the software that they use and the number of licenses.
Right. We'll have that for our next board meeting, our next finance committee meeting.
I think it would take a while.
Yeah, I was
you
just
know,
gonna say,
I would give them like maybe if it's September now, maybe through
November?
November, just give them a few months to get that information gathered. You know, there's probably a lot of software out there. And I think what we're really looking for is those software,
That are underutilized?
not so much underutilized, but that we're paying maybe a monthly or a yearly
We don't use it.
reoccurring balance for. It's not, whatever it is. There's software I'm sure that we own, licenses for Windows XP that are sitting on the shelf somewhere. We don't worry about that. I don't care about that. It's the stuff that we're paying a yearly license for. How many licenses? So what is the item, the number of annual licenses we're paying for? The number that are utilized, if that's possible, and then the cost. How does that sound?
good start.
Right, it's a start.
Right.
Give them a few months to do it because it's gonna take a while to pull together. And this is not the only thing that the administration's doing.
No?
I'm just saying.
I'm joking.
And then the other thing here that I was doing 3 things at once. I don't know. I'd almost like to consider, and it's got its pluses and minuses, but, hiring our own engineer. I mean, when you look at what we're paying Dewey here, it's a considerable amount of money and
My question with that though, is if we did hire an engineer, what happens when we don't have all these huge projects anymore where we don't require an engineer all the time?
And the other problem is if we hire an engineer whose specialization is in, let's say, one thing, but we
Right.
need an engineer whose specialization is another field, we're still gonna be hiring another, that's why hiring a firm, we don't really hire Josh, we hire the firm
Yeah.
who gives us that expertise and breadth.
Should we-
That's my
should-
only concern.
Should we maybe do an RFP for an engineering firms so
I
that we get,
Throw this back, this is a properties and facilities issue. This is not,
Right.
this is not
Absolutely
our, not our area,
Yep.
honestly.
yep,
But when it comes to the cost of it, like my
Yeah,
only concern with the
definitely will come.
cost would be,
well, that would, if we have to do an RFP for property and facilities.
no, I'm saying if we were to hire an engineer for the cost purposes, I don't know that it would be cost effective in my eyes. Only because, yes, we pay a lot right now, but we may not be paying a lot 5 years from now. And then what do? Lay him off because we don't need him anymore?
No,
Or
no,
maybe his specialty is one thing, not the other, then we have to,
Plus,
you're gonna be paying a lot more for someone with a PE.
if I understand it correctly, you're not doing an RFP, you're actually creating a position.
Position, no, I'm saying do an
So you
RFP.
actually need to create a position guide first of what are the responsibilities of the
Right.
person, and then post the position.
And hope you get somebody qualified.
But I.
And
for-
but I agree
And for what you're willing to
with
pay.
that.
I mean, I know a couple of districts up north recently tried hiring an engineer on their staff as, it was one of the qualifications as the director of facilities. And they had 0 applicants. when
It's
they-
hard to get an engineer.
So I don't want to persuade you anyway,
Right.
but I just want to give you a heads up. I know that seems to be what people want to do, but
Mhm.
they
Well-
can make so much money in the private sector.
Well,
They're
I
not
think
going to tie
about-
themselves down.
Yeah, but what Larry's talking about is the fees we're paying. Maybe if we do it, this is probably, I
Facilities, yes,
understand, but
correct.
maybe if we do an RFP to get, we can get, there's a bunch of engineering fields, companies that do all these things. We can get the rates down a little bit that we're paying Dewey.
And I think I feel like I was on the board when
Yeah.
we selected Dewey anyway.
Yeah.
I remember when you guys did.
Yeah.
And so either the first 3 years are up and we need to do another
Well,
RFP.
it's about time.
Is it time for that? So I'm gonna throw that, I think you guys in properties and facilities,
No, but I think you're right. It's about
Yeah.
time. It's about 3 years, yeah.
and so we really need to look at the contract and look at what's going on.
Well, and the other thing now that's a negative is if we hire our own engineer, then, and if he makes a mistake,
It's on us.
that's on us. yeah.
Right, and that's why it's good to have the third party.
So there is plus and minuses.
Tom, do you have do you have the contract or do we have to get it from Scott? Or Dewey?
The Dewey, his contract,
Yeah, do you
I
have it or just?
I should have a copy.
We just need to know when it's up.
Mhm.
All right.
You let Lisa know, probably be the person know.
Yep, I can do that.
All right, and then just a quick question. I mean, this doesn't really fit in with finance, but it's something that we're gonna need here shortly, is Lyman and Ash's, they don't think that they have the original contract to build the North High School and Lehman. Is there any way that we can find that without going through 58 boxes again?
I'm sure they'd be happy to do that,
In charge you,
yeah.
do we have somebody here look for it?
I don't know,
I'd like
let
to
me,
get a request
let me
from
touch
Lyman
base with
and Ash.
Chris.
All right.
Can we get a request in writing from Lyman and Ash and then they'll pull it?
I've got the request. They need that.
Okay, if you can forward the request to Dr. Riker and he will work to get that.
Okay. And then
It
what,
exists, yeah.
what's out there in systems or whatever that we could utilize to make our filing system, more user friendly so that we can find things when we need them?
Can we start going more electronic with the older stuff and have somebody scan stuff in?
We could, years ago, when I first came on board with the district, 7 or 8 years ago, 7 years ago, I know they start looking at hiring a company to come in and do that with all the files. And it was a large sum of money, so the board kind of went the other way from it. But it is something we can revisit if that's something
Or
the
even
board is
organize the
interested.
files we currently have, so they're more, I guess, easier to get through. So
I-
you're not, even for you, you're not searching everywhere for finance stuff from a few years ago.
Moving forward, since 2016, the financial system we chose has that built into the
Are
system.
we
So
utilizing it?
yes, we are. We can pull up anything on the computer now from moving forward from 2017, 16, somewhere around there, 17. So
So if we need to see a contract from 2017 and there was some invoice or something on it.
we can see the invoices, yes. We haven't gotten as far as to keep the contracts in there, but since I took over, I've been trying my best to keep the contracts electronically filed on our server in the district, so we can look there instead of going through boxes.
So all the contracts that we've done for the flooring, for the roof, that's all electronically saved now.
Yes. And Dewey has a copy also, because they're the ones that they send them to us once they're fully executed.
Anything else?
Nope, not at the
Do
moment.
I have a motion to, our next meeting is October 12th at 5:30, and that's, is that a Monday? Is that a Tuesday because of the
It's a
holiday?
Monday.
We're having it on Columbus Day?
It
That's
is on
Columbus
unless
Day.
you want to move it.
No, I don't care.
Yes.
Columbus Day is fine for me.
It's fine for me too, because I believe I'm off of work, so it'll be easy.
I work that day.
I don't know if I do.
Do we?
And I know the next day, the 13th, is parent-teacher conferences for the high school.
We're off.
You guys are off? Do you want it?
Let's keep it. October 12th, 2020, 5:30.
Works for me.
As long as that works for everybody in the room.
Yep.
Dr. Would you mind working on a holiday?
I work every day. Doesn't matter to me.
Well, I'm just asking, I'm being considerate.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre, is it okay with you since it's a school holiday to work?
Are we having Zoom and in person?
I would assume so. I want to
Yeah.
keep doing Zoom so the public has the opportunity to come in if they want to via Zoom.
Might be nicer to do Zoom only on that one.
It might be.
Can we do
Just so
that? Is that okay with
I'm fine
everybody?
with that, just to accommodate them so they don't have to
So
come.
we're gonna do a Zoom only that day because it's a holiday,
Yeah,
That's fine,
so that way, because the buildings are closed,
that's
Right.
fine.
we don't have to reopen the buildings for that.
Because,
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so the Monday, October 12th meeting will be via Zoom only, since it is the holiday and the school building is closed, but we're still gonna continue with our meeting as scheduled at 5:30.
So moved.
Second,
And do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
second.
Adjourn.
That was quick, Joe.
Thank you.
Can we make it out in time for you, Rich?
Oh.